If you think tractors have always looked the same, big, powerful, four-wheeled machines rolling across open fields, think again. A century ago, when the agricultural revolution was still finding its footing, inventors all over the world were experimenting with machines that looked nothing like the tractors we know today. They built contraptions with one wheel, two parts, spiral screws, rear-mounted engines, and even walking frames. Some worked, some failed miserably, and some were simply ahead of their time. These 7 machines were so unusual that even modern tractor fans can hardly believe they existed. But they did, and their stories are as fascinating as their designs. Let's dive into the world of 7 bizarre tractors you won't believe existed. Number 1. Moline Universal D. The early 1910s were a wild time for tractor innovation. Companies were experimenting with every imaginable configuration, from steam traction engines to small gasoline-powered rigs. Among them stood one machine that didn't look like a tractor at all, the Moline Universal D. At first glance, you'd mistake it for a tiny steam locomotive pulling a wagon, thanks to its strange two-piece design. It wasn't a single chassis like other tractors. Instead, the Moline Universal had a front power unit and a rear implement carriage connected by a central pivot. The power unit housed the engine, transmission, steering wheel, and the driver's seat. The rear section carried plows, harrows, or other equipment. Essentially, the operator sat right over the front engine, steering a motorized front car that towed the farming tools behind. It was as if someone had merged a tractor and a train engine into one. The company behind it, Universal Tractor Manufacturing, later absorbed by Moline Plow Company, believed this modular design would make farming more efficient. Farmers could quickly attach or detach various implements without needing multiple machines. It wasn't a bad idea in theory. The tractor's excellent visibility made it easy to monitor plowing or planting operations. The rear pivot joint also allowed for tight turns and maneuverability, but in practice, the Moline Universal D was uncomfortable and awkward to operate. The driver sat directly over the engine, exposed to constant heat, vibration, and fumes. Balancing the two parts on uneven terrain was tricky, and its two-wheel front drive often made it unstable. Still, for a few years in the 1910s, it sold surprisingly well, largely because it was affordable and compact. But once more stable four-wheel tractors like the Fordson Model F entered the market, the Moline split design quickly became outdated. Yet, its uniqueness ensures it's never forgotten. Restored versions still appear at antique tractor shows, where crowds gather to marvel at this train-like tractor that symbolized the wild, experimental energy of early American engineering. Number 2. Bull Tractor. If one wheel seems enough for a bicycle, why not a tractor? That's exactly what engineers at the Bull Tractor Company of Minneapolis thought in 1913. And so they built what would become one of the strangest tractors ever put into production, the Bull Tractor. The concept was deceptively simple. Instead of building a heavy four-wheeled machine, they created a lightweight one-wheel drive tractor aimed at small farms. The idea was to make a cheaper alternative to massive machines like the Roomley oil pull or case steam tractors. The Bull's single massive wheel, mounted at the rear center, was the main drive wheel. Two small front guide wheels handled steering, while the plow or implement was attached behind. In theory, the central drive wheel offered direct power transmission and minimized complexity. The design was compact and inexpensive, a selling point for farmers transitioning from horses to mechanized power. At first, farmers were intrigued. The Bull was marketed as the little tractor that could do it all. It was lightweight, easy to start, and cost far less than its larger rivals. In 1914, Bull became one of America's best-selling tractors for a brief time. But the design had one fatal flaw: stability. With all the weight centered on one wheel, the tractor became unpredictable. On soft or uneven ground, the single wheel sank, spun, or tipped the tractor sideways. On inclines, it was nearly impossible to control. Farmers reported frightening accidents, and word spread quickly that the Bull was more dangerous than dependable. By 1918, sales plummeted as conventional four-wheel tractors took over the market. However, the bull remains one of the boldest examples of creative engineering during the tractor boom. It wasn't elegant, but it represented a period when inventors weren't afraid to throw convention out the window, even if it meant balancing an entire tractor on a single wheel. Today's surviving bulls are collectors' treasures, relics of a time when imagination ran wild in the fields of innovation. Number 3. The Happy Farmer. The early 1920s gave rise to dozens of small tractor manufacturers, all trying to build something cheaper and simpler than Ford's mighty Fordson Model F. Among them was the La Crosse Tractor Company, creators of the delightfully odd Happy Farmer. This machine had a name that made you smile and a design that made you frown. Unlike typical tractors, the Happy Farmer had an off-center engine and asymmetrical frame, giving it a lopsided, almost comical look. The driver's seat was on one side, the engine on the other, and the front wheels sat unevenly spaced apart. From the front, it looked like a smiling face, the open grille and offset hood resembling a grin, which is how it earned its cheerful nickname. But despite its happy appearance, operating it wasn't so joyful. The designers claimed the offset weight distribution improved traction and balance, letting the plow line up better with the furrows. In reality, the uneven layout caused endless headaches. On hard soil, it tracked fine, but on slopes or muddy ground, the tractor constantly pulled to one side, requiring constant steering correction. Operators joked that it was called the Happy Farmer because it could never go straight enough to be serious. Yet, there was genuine charm in its simplicity. It was lightweight, affordable, and surprisingly durable for its size. It used a two-cylinder air-cooled engine that was easy to maintain and cheap to repair. Many small farmers in Wisconsin and the Midwest actually loved it, quirks and all. But competition was fierce. The Fordson, with better balance and reliability, soon dominated the small tractor market. By the late 1920s, La Crosse was out of business, and the Happy Farmer became another forgotten curiosity. Today, it lives on as a cult classic among collectors. Its bright red-orange paint, goofy proportions, and cheerful look make it a hit at antique machinery shows. It may have been one of the most unbalanced tractors ever built, but it's also one of the most memorable. Number 4. Bait Steel Mule. Now we move from unbalanced tractors to one that didn't even bother giving you a place to sit. In the 1920s, the Bait Steel Mule represented one of the strangest interpretations of what a tractor should be. Instead of sitting comfortably on your machine, the steel mule made you walk behind it, just like you would behind a horse-drawn plow. This bizarre concept came from the Bait Company, which believed that small-scale farmers didn't need large or heavy machines. Their thinking was simple. Farmers had been walking behind their mules for centuries, so why not just replace the animal with a motorized steel mule? The design was brutally minimal. The steel mule had a gasoline engine mounted on a small steel frame powering two large drive wheels. A third, smaller wheel provided stability. The farmer walked behind it, controlling direction and speed with long handles. There was no seat, no cab, and no comfort, just pure manual labor aided by a bit of horsepower. To its credit, the steel mule worked reasonably well for cultivating small plots and gardens. It was light, maneuverable, and cheap, but it was also exhausting to use. Farmers had to walk miles every day behind a vibrating, noisy, fume-belching machine. The exposed gears made it dangerous, and the lack of any protection from heat or dust made it miserable in summer. Unsurprisingly, it never achieved mainstream success. Farmers quickly realized that if they were going to spend money on a tractor, they might as well buy one they could actually ride. Still, the steel mule concept wasn't completely foolish. It directly inspired the later development of two-wheel walk-behind tillers and mini cultivators that gardeners still use today. In that sense, this strange contraption was a century ahead of its time, a walking tractor, before anyone thought such a thing could exist. Today, it's remembered as both a curiosity and a stepping stone, the tractor that refused to let farmers sit down. Number 5. John Deere Spoker D. John Deere's Model D was one of the company's earliest and most influential tractors, produced from 1923, but the earliest version, known today as the Spoker D, looked so strange that it's hard to believe it came from the same brand known for sleek green machines. The 1923 John Deere Spoker D got its nickname from its open skeletal steel wheels, spoked rims that looked like bicycle wheels on steroids. The front wheels were tall and thin, while the rear wheels were huge, with deep metal cleats to grip the soil. The entire tractor seemed lightweight and fragile, more like a science experiment than a working machine. But under its odd frame was serious engineering. The Spoker D had a massive 6.7-liter two-cylinder engine that produced a rhythmic pop-pop sound, earning Deere tractors the famous nickname Johnny Poppers. Its simplicity and raw torque made it a strong field performer. So why did it look so bizarre? The spoked wheels were a cost-saving measure. Deere was still refining its production process, and solid wheels or rubber tires were too expensive for early runs. The spoke design was light and cheap to manufacture, though it came with drawbacks. Farmers quickly discovered that the open spokes clogged with mud and debris. The ride was incredibly rough, and without fenders or guards, operators were constantly showered in dirt, grease, and hot exhaust fumes. Steering was also extremely stiff, as the front wheels offered little traction. Despite its awkwardness, the Spoker D was a milestone, Deere's first true production tractor and the machine that launched its legacy in farm mechanization. Only a limited number of the spoked wheel versions were built before Deere switched to sturdier solid steel wheels in later models. Today, the few surviving Spoker Ds are among the most valuable antique tractors on Earth, fetching enormous prices at auctions. Their strange skeletal look is a window into an era when tractor design was still finding its shape, and when even the biggest names in farming had to experiment with weird ideas to find success. Number 6. Fordson Snow Motor. During the early 1920s, farmers in Northern America and Canada faced a serious problem: how to move machinery in deep snow. Cars and tractors would sink or spin helplessly, and horses couldn't handle long winter hauls. That's when Armstead Snow Motors Corporation and Ford teamed up to create one of the strangest machines ever conceived, the Fordson Snow Motor. The Fordson Snow Motor was built by modifying the reliable Fordson Model F tractor. Instead of wheels or tracks, it used two massive rotating screw cylinders, giant metal drums fitted with helical ridges. As these drums turned, they literally screwed the tractor forward, propelling it across snow, ice, or mud. It looked like something straight out of a science fiction movie, a tractor gliding over frozen terrain like a mechanical snake. In 1926, the machine was demonstrated in Michigan, where it easily pulled sleds through deep snow while cars and horses got stuck. It could even float on slushy water and climb small snowbanks. The concept was genius. The helical screws distributed weight evenly and provided constant traction. The system worked so well that the U.S. military briefly tested it for Arctic operations. However, the snow motor was useless on normal ground. On hard soil, the screw drums couldn't grip properly and tore up everything they touched. Steering was difficult, and the wear and tear on the drums made maintenance expensive. It was a specialized tool for one environment: snow. Only a few were ever built, but the idea lived on. Later, the same principle inspired amphibious screw-propelled vehicles used in Siberia and polar research missions decades later. Today, the Fordson Snow Motor stands as one of the most jaw-dropping tractor experiments ever made. Proof that when Ford engineers wanted to conquer snow, they didn't just make better tires, they reinvented motion itself. Number 7. Allis-Chalmers Model G. When Allis-Chalmers introduced the Model G in 1948, farmers were stunned. It looked completely wrong. The engine was in the back, the tools in the front, and the driver sat in the middle of a skeletal steel frame. It was the polar opposite of every tractor design of its time. Yet this strange little machine turned out to be one of the most innovative ideas in agricultural history. The Allis-Chalmers Model G was built for small farms, truck gardens, and vegetable growers. Its rear-mounted four-cylinder Continental engine left the front end open, allowing farmers a clear view of their implements, cultivators, planters, or plows, mounted directly under their eyes. This meant incredible precision. For weeding or cultivating delicate crops, you could see exactly what you were doing, something no other tractor allowed. The lightweight design made it maneuverable and fuel-efficient. Its narrow frame fit easily between crop rows. The engine placement also improved traction and balance, since most weight was centered over the rear drive wheels. But despite its clever engineering, the Model G struggled in the market. Farmers used to large front-engine tractors thought it looked weak or toy-like. Its small size limited its power for heavy tasks, and the unique layout made it incompatible with many standard implements. Still, many who used it swore by its design. It was comfortable, stable, and ahead of its time. Even decades later, small-scale organic farmers praised its visibility and control. Today, the Model G is considered a cult classic. Restorers, collectors, and even modern companies like Tilmore and Ogun have revived the design for 21st-century electric tractors, nearly identical to the 1948 original. So while it looked bizarre in its day, the Allis-Chalmers Model G was truly the tractor of the future, a reminder that sometimes looking backward means thinking forward. From the Moline Universal split-train design to the Fordson snow motor's screw-drive insanity, these tractors remind us that progress is born from experimentation. Each of these bizarre machines challenged the norm, whether by flipping engines backward, removing seats, or spinning through snow like a corkscrew. Most of them failed commercially, but every one of them helped shape the ideas that led to modern agricultural engineering. Because in the world of invention, the strangest designs often plant the seeds of genius. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.